on this edition of Lifeguard.
Requesting medic for 11-year-old male, lower back pain, please find precautions.
What's going on? I'm the mother.
And
Lifeguarding in New Zealand was a different experience.
Hang on.
plus,
Stingrays are trying to enjoy the beach, the people are trying to enjoy the beach, and we just don't all mix well together.
and later,
We have a report of an injured hiker on the North Park border near Del Mar.
She had blown out her knee and she literally couldn't bend it without excruciating pain.
the lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline,
It's just really us versus nature.
and nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, the weather dictates the type of day that you're going to have.
Shark sighting, clear the water.
I need medics to ski beach dock and other units.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
When you get this many people coming to the beach, things are going to happen.
Hey, you all right, buddy? You there?
They are there to save you.
He told me to grab the buoy. He was literally right there.
They are there to lifeguard. This is San Diego, California, where the average summer temperature hovers around 75 degrees. The perfect weather and beautiful beaches helps bring 31 million tourists to this area every year.
The weather, especially the wind, has a very large effect on the ocean conditions at Mission Beach. The wind makes waves. When the wind blows over large areas of the ocean for a long time and is very strong, you get the largest waves.
There's always a steady crowd, especially at the beaches that have easy access and lots of parking, like here at Mission Beach. It's beating it back, and it's just a beautiful day out here on the beach. There's a lot of people that are on the beach that are visiting, and if they do venture into the water, it can be pretty dangerous. And the surf size makes it, even more challenging. The people that are going into the water, we have all different levels. We have really experienced people that are surfing, body surfing, doing long-distance ocean swims. And then there's the people that are, trying to get out and experience. You don't start as an expert, so you have to get out there to experience it, to build up your skill level, and sometimes those people get in trouble.
Soaring temperatures and large surf are a perfect recipe for boogie boarding. The popular sport is an easy way to get the thrill and excitement of riding waves without the dangers of surfing. Lifeguard Ashley Marino was watching the surf line at Tower 19.
A little boy came up to me and told me that his younger brother was hurt, that he hit his head on the bottom after boogie boarding, and he did say that he had a lot of neck pain.
19X, lifeguard dispatch. Requesting medics to 700 Santa Clara Place for 11-year-old male, head to the bottom, lower back pain, LOC times 4. Please find precautions.
Lifeguard Grant LeBeau was patrolling the beach on a UTV when the call came in.
When we got there, Ashley was obviously the only person there, so she was holding the head of the victim. So I took over, so I was controlling the head, because you don't want a C-spine patient turning their head, potentially exacerbating what's already a serious injury.
He had a full level of consciousness, but he said he was a little bit dizzy, and he did say that he had a lot of neck pain.
Ashley was born and raised in the water culture of San Diego.
I definitely love being here. I began lifeguarding in high school. The part I like best is saving lives, and that sounds so cliche, but that is the best part.
Ashley is a fantastic lifeguard. She's very natural in her job. She's a very compassionate person. When you combine that with her skills and abilities in the water, with her communication skills, and that's what's needed in lifeguarding, because that's our job, is customer service.
I guess my vision of lifeguarding, yes, would be to be here in 10, 15 years. I can't think of a better environment to work in.
Both of you squeeze my fingers. Very good. Bring your fingers for me. Very good.
He was definitely in a little bit of agony, kind of squirming. He was in pain, obviously.
San Diego lifeguard Sergeant Rick Strobel arrives at Tower 19 to back up Marino and LeBeau.
This is a very serious situation. What we want to do is immediately try to immobilize the patient. The young boy hit the bottom of the ocean with his head, causing some severe pain in his mid-back region. A C-spine emergency is a cervical spine injury. This is a very serious situation.
C-spine precaution is a term for immobilizing the cervical spine or neck of a victim who may be at risk of serious injuries, such as paralysis. The most important task now is for lifeguards to immobilize and secure the victim.
Arms up.
What's going on? I'm the mother.
So he hit the bottom, he was boogie boarding, and now he's experiencing pain in his back. So we contacted paramedics, so they're en route.
Can you move your arm with your leg?
He can move, he's got pulse movement sensation.
All right, you'll be okay.
San Diego Fire Department paramedics arrived to take over care of the victim.
1, 2, 3.
The medics got there really fast. They're actually only a mile up the road. And then they got him to the hospital for x-rays and to get a doctor's opinion.
All the way up and down. We have a program, everybody knows what to do, and this one went really smooth. Each person handling a different job. That enabled us to get the patient quickly turned over to medics.
The city of San Diego employs almost 300 lifeguards. These men and women keep watch over 24 miles of pristine cliffs, beaches, and parks. Of those 300, 2/3 are seasonal lifeguards, meaning they only work during the hot summer months. While some look at this as a part-time job, Ashley Marino wants to make this her career.
I've worked seasonally for about 9 years now, but I've known that I wanted to do this full-time for the last 4 years.
When summer ends, many lifeguards head back to college. Ashley Marino also went to school, but her education was very different.
Possible targets near the area.
Welcome to New Zealand, where lifeguarding is as dangerous as it is rewarding.
Hang on tight, hang on!
Low-pressure systems generated in the South Pacific create some of the most constant wave swells in the world. Lifeguards here specialize in big wave rescues, with an average of 1,500 saves per year.
I went over just after our summer ended, and I went to Auckland, New Zealand, which is on the North Island, and tried out. And lo and behold, I ran into another one of my coworkers at the first day of tryouts. We had no idea that each other was going to be over there.
Let's get a whip!
The first time I saw her was at the tryout, and it was awesome seeing a familiar face, and it was a pleasant surprise.
80 hopefuls tried out. Ashley and Wes were 2 of 40 who made the cut. The 2 Americans are now a part of the country's impressive lifeguard heritage.
They've been lifeguarding for over 100 years. Over there, they have a long history, so they're respected.
New Zealand is comprised of 2 island landmasses. Between both islands, it has over 9,000 miles of coastline. Because of the country's wildly varying topography and weather, lifeguards in New Zealand must utilize many unique skills.
Everywhere you look is swell. It's the conditions, it's the different terrain, rugged coastline, large swell exposure. It's basically 2 islands, so it's storms coming from the Tasman or the Pacific and pounding the coastline. It can be very dangerous because you're expected to do quite a bit over there with very limited resources.
Although they don't have PWCs or jet skis there that they use to make rescues, they use what we used to use, the little inflatable boats, the little orange boats. They were invented in New Zealand first, so they take a lot of pride in those and they actually race them. But they also use them on a daily basis to make rescues. If a victim is pretty far offshore, or there's a rescue that's a little ways away from the beach, they'll send their boats out with a few people.
But the inflatable boats are not the only difference here.
Lifeguarding in New Zealand was a different experience. I found the first obvious difference that I saw was that you're working sometimes at these extremely remote beaches, and the nearest ambulance or hospital is maybe 50 minutes away.
The difference between lifeguarding in New Zealand versus San Diego is you're expected to do quite a bit over there, dealing with large surf and boats in remote locations with minimal resources.
It's a very different style of lifeguarding. But when you get down to it, it's the same thing. You have your fins, you have your rescue can, or over there they use a soft tube and just make rescues.
Ashley took part in many rescues during her summer in New Zealand. Each one was unique.
Lifeguard, we just had a report of a missing kiteboarder.
One of the most memorable experiences I had over there was when we got a call of kite surfers missing, and we didn't see anyone out in the water. Right, just keep an eye out and I'll go grow Isaac. We launched IRBs, our inflatable rescue boats. We must have gone 2 miles past the harbor, and we actually spotted him.
Okay, go ahead.
Chase, where did the call come from?
Police. Directly from the local police.
One of the rescues I remember most, there was a report of a missing person. Authorities had found the car of the person who was missing on top of this gorge.
You guys gonna shoot around to Tuatua Bay? Isaac knows where it is, and just do a severe scan of the coastline.
Today we had got the call and we immediately launched our inflatable rescue boats and went south of the coastline about 3 or 4 miles to the gorge where the car was found.
Hey, we've reached the gorge and ready to start the search.
From there we got off the boats and went up into the ravine to search.
Hello! Search to the rescue, is there anyone there?
It was a rugged coastline, uninhabited, no trails or anything. A little more different than your typical water rescue.
Search to the rescuers! Yes? Hello! Going to go up over this ridge? Hello! Hello! Search to the rescuers, is there anyone there?
We searched for about an hour. We covered a lot of ground and we didn't find anything.
Searching from land, over.
The most important thing I brought back from New Zealand was that lifeguarding is an international community, and wanted to gain an experience that would go to my goals as a lifeguard here in San Diego.
When it finally registers that you actually saved a life or 2 or 3 or 4, it's a great feeling, and I think it's why many of us choose to have this as a career.
The landscape in northern San Diego is defined by its jagged cliffs and rocky coastline. This region is home to several distinct microclimates. Here, the weather can vary greatly over just a few miles, and locals know a trip to La Jolla shores is always a sure way to beat the heat.
Apparently there's a heat wave going on. People are coming from all over the county because this is the only cool spot that we have right now. We're in the 80s for the air temperature. There's a breeze coming off the ocean. The water is 72 degrees. This is why people come to Southern California in the summertime for days just like this.
But the crowds are not alone. The warm water has brought other visitors close to shore.
We kind of have the perfect storm going on for stingrays right now. We've got the weekend, which brings in extra people. The water is warm, so everybody's going into the water. There's basically no surf down here, so there's no crashing waves or anything to scatter the stingrays. They're coming in, they're feeding in the shallow water. The stingrays are trying to enjoy the beach, the people are trying to enjoy the beach, and we just don't all mix well together.
that pain really bad?
It was at first. I was just surfing out there and I just came down off a wave and I stepped on what I thought was the tether to my surfboard, and it felt like it ripped up through in between my little toe and the toe next to it. But apparently it was a stingray and it stung really bad. I've had nails through my foot that don't hurt that bad.
Stingrays use their poisonous barb as a defense mechanism. So what happens is people that are out playing in the surf can't see the rays buried. They accidentally step on the ray, and that's when people usually get injured. They get stuck in the foot, usually, or the ankle. And then, of course, the minute somebody feels that, they lift up on their foot and the ray skitters away.
It's 11 a.m., and lifeguards are already treating their 7th stingray victim.
We're gonna keep giving you hot water, and you're gonna keep it as hot as you can stand it.
Okay.
It's gonna wick the poison out.
I was sort of swimming out in the waves. I just put my foot down to stand for a second. I felt a sharp sting. I just decided I better swim right back right away, and the lifeguard sent me here. So I got here within a minute, and I've been putting hot water on my foot ever since.
With more stingray injuries coming in, Sergeant Cranston is now faced with a problem. He doesn't have enough manpower to take care of the victims and keep a close eye on the water.
We're running out of personnel to treat the large amount of victims.
Lifeguard dispatch copies. Dispatch copy requesting a BLS ambulance to the Hoya shores. And then we have one current.
We're equipped to handle a certain amount of stingray victims down here. It's something we do quite regularly. However, the large amount of victims that we're getting, we're kind of running out of resources and we're running out of personnel. So we've requested some additional EMTs, and they're going to come down here and just help us maintain treatment on all these victims. We're running some rescues in the water and just our regular weekend activity. And if we have any big activity go on and we don't have any more lifeguards here to treat the stingray victims, we need some EMTs here. They can take over treatment and just keep all the victims being treated as they need for their pain and monitoring all their vital signs or anything else that may need to be done for them.
I'm gonna wrap this again. I just want to make sure it doesn't fall.
We've had the stingrays keep coming in waves, and they seem to be going on the tidal change. When the tide changed from low to start coming in, we had a swarm of them. And now the tide's high and it's just changed to go back out. They seem to have come in force again.
It's trying to get hot.
With additional EMTs now on scene, Sergeant Cranston is able to assign lifeguards back to their normal duties.
We've got a little triage area here. We're calling it Stingray City. And luckily, we've got a lot of extra personnel to help us out. So we're getting people out of the sun and away from the glare of the ocean. And they can sit back here in the park and enjoy their bucket of hot water while they soak and relax their pain away.
You need some hot water?
Yeah, I'm in sun.
You need some? I'm gonna go back and get another bucket. I'll get one for all of you.
Getting near the end of the day, and the stingrays have started to slow down, and we're starting to treat them and clear them out of here. So we're happy that the stingrays seem to be going to bed for the evening, so we can get everybody out of here and let them go to bed as well.
This is Torrey Pines State Reserve, where steep sandstone cliffs are crowned by a wide, flat plateau overlooking Torrey Pines State Beach. Complementing the state beach is a placid lagoon, which is vital to migrating seabirds. This area of the beach is protected by seasonal state lifeguards and full-time peace officers like Ed Vidraska.
So because we're at Torrey Pines, we have a very unique situation that lifeguards here deal with. Not only do we have beaches, but we have these trails. We have 12, 15 miles of trails just right here in the main part of the park. So people unfortunately do fall, they sprain ankles, they fracture femurs. So our guards are all trained in immobilization and splinting techniques. We have a number of different tools at our disposal. We have cliff rescue equipment that we can use. We also have the use of helicopters, and we can call the city helicopters for flying people out if the areas are too remote or too precarious.
Dispatch to 26. We have a confirmed report of an injured hiker by the train tracks on the North Park border.
You want me to respond from the beach or the top?
125-872, dispatch to duty. And a response from the 101 on the top and come down.
We're being called by the other unit here at Torrey Pines to a hiker that has fallen at the base of the bluffs here. It's a little bit remote of an area.
Del Mar lifeguards have also responded to the scene.
Mark, Rass, how are you? Good to see you.
The first responder, lifeguard Matt Brammer, is at the bottom of the ravine with the victim.
So we pulled up, looked down in the canyon. It's obviously a very steep canyon. She was actually at the very bottom, just below the railroad tracks. When we got down there with the equipment and put her on, the only option was to carry her out.
Vadroska and the Del Mar lifeguards descend quickly down the trail to the victim. She is waiting with her boyfriend, along with lifeguard Brammer.
She had blown out her knee, and she literally couldn't bend it at all without excruciating pain. So the decision was made to put her on a backboard, which gives us the greatest amount of essentially splinting her whole body.
Everybody ready?
Small steps.
This very last half, about 20, 30 yards or so, the canyon kind of goes straight up.
This seems pretty. This seems better.
Okay, hold it. I can't go further. What's your first name?
Barbara.
Barbara.
Barbara, you did good.
Barbara, I'm just going to check your feet out a little bit here, okay? Barbara, can you wiggle your toes? Great. Which toe am I touching here?
Big toe.
Okay, how about here?
Do you have any more pain up in here, in your hip area? Like right here?
No, it's just around my knee and my thigh.
Given a choice, the victim declines an ambulance to the hospital. Lifeguards follow procedure and release her AMA, against medical advice.
I just know that my knee bent and it came out of its socket. I could hear it pop. And then I fell to the ground. I started screaming, and my boyfriend was like, "Oh, let me carry you out." I'm like, "No!"
Situations like these don't come up too often, although I'm familiar with them because working here all the time. It was tough, but worked out.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
On this edition of Lifeguard,
he saw one of the individuals get hit by a wave and not come back up again.
If somebody's submerged, time is of the essence.
And
Code 3 North Boomer.
It was like a flowing river at the time. If there was no lifeguard there, those two would have drowned.
Plus,
we have a lot of really large rip currents, so with that and really warm temperatures, it just makes for the perfect storm.
He was going into shock, kind of fading in and out.
the lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline.
It's just really us versus nature.
And nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, the weather dictates the type of day that you're going to have.
Shark sighting, clear the water. I need medics to ski beach dock and other units.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
1, 2, I got 3. When you get this many people coming to the beach, things are going to happen.
Hey, you all right, buddy? You there?
They are there to save you.
He told me to grab the buoy. He was literally right there.
They are there to lifeguard. This is Pacific Beach, California. Located just south of La Jolla, this 2-mile stretch of sand enjoys an average summer temperature of 88 degrees. Currently, the waves are small, but a southern swell is about to strike. Over 6,000 miles away, a storm has been brewing for several days.
In our summer, waves come to us from big storms down by New Zealand, Australia. So weather in the South Pacific a week ago is determining what we see in our ocean waves today.
Today, Lifeguard Sergeant Ben Lewis is supervising at Pacific Beach.
Beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon with quite a significant beach crowd, and we were actively making some warnings. The rip current was flaring up pretty good.
Lifeguard Sean Dale is on patrol near Tower 24 when a beachgoer approaches his vehicle.
The gentleman came running up saying that there was someone in distress. He thought that he saw one of the individuals in the group get hit by a wave and not come back up again.
Shondale relayed the information that he received to me by radio. And once I arrived on scene, I assumed the role of incident commander.
21 Sam, dispatch.
Go 21 Sam.
We're getting a report of a possible missing swimmer in the water.
It's been 2 minutes since the witness saw the man submerge. Lifeguard Sean Dale and a nearby guard quickly enter the water to search for the victim. Meanwhile, Sergeant Ben Lewis requests backup.
Can you send a surf boat to PD at Tower 23? I'm just pulling on scene now to interview the DRP.
1 mile south, Lifeguard Sergeant Rick Strobel reacts to the call.
Now we're responding to a report of a missing swimmer that was last seen in the water. Another sergeant is with the reporting party right now, gathering further information.
Dispatch from IC. It's a young male with dark hair, a white male. We're going to continue moving forward with Codex response here.
A Code X, it's a submersion.
A Code X signifies the highest level rescue call on the beach. A drowning.
Our most dreadful call is a drowning, particularly to the lifeguards who are on observation at that moment.
Once again, all swimmers and boogie boarders, come out of the water. Exit the water this time.
If somebody's submerged, brain damage sets in 4 to 6 minutes, to be blunt. Time is of the essence. We want to be able to find this person as quickly as possible to give them the best chance for survival.
Sam, let's be firm. If you have yet two in the water, we'd like it to respond.
Lifeguard Shiloh Spangler arrives by PWC and is one of the first guards on the scene.
There was 2 other guards in the water when I first got there. It was in a rip current area, so it was really murky.
4-foot swells and 8-knot wind creates poor visibility. To find the victim, they'll have to put as many lifeguards in the water as possible.
Is there a unit from La Jolla coming as well?
3 Sam with 2 dive team members, 4 in total.
Grant, you run this team, all right? You're the line leader. You'll need a line. We got 2 teams of 4. Excellent.
I'd like to request air support from San Diego Fire, and they can respond and come up on Lifeguard Dispatch 2.
We had medics responding. We had police responding, and we had a fire rescue helicopter. So it's very important for all those different resources to have a point of contact, which is the incident commander, Sergeant Lewis.
With the rising swells and churning currents, the clock is running out for any chance of survival. Sergeant Lewis can only hope the response is not too late.
That is the worst thing that can happen to a lifeguard, is that somebody drowns on their watch.
Meanwhile, 4 miles to the north near La Jolla Cove, the waves are pounding at Boomer Beach. When the swell comes out of the south, it's a hot spot for body surfers. Located at the western edge of La Jolla Park, Boomer Beach draws a lot of tourists, but not all of them are aware of how unpredictable the ocean can be here. Lifeguards do not have a tower on Boomer Beach, but keep a watchful eye when the swell is large.
In the summertime, a lot of sand gets pushed up onto Boomer Beach, and it becomes a nice looking beach for people to go down and go swimming. But it's not a beach for just anyone to go swimming. Surf can get really big there and treacherous if you don't know what you're doing.
Code 3 North Boomer, 111.59, 32 Code 3 Boomer. Copy, we got a second guard en route.
I just started running because I knew that that rip was about ready to start pulling.
It went over the radio that they needed more lifeguards, Code 3. I responded on the radio letting them know that I would be entering the water as well.
Lifeguard Guerrero makes his way into the massive rip current.
It was like a flowing river at the time. So luckily I got sucked out really quickly, especially with my fins. I was able to gauge where my coworker was, judging by the red buoy, and I saw that, so I knew to swim right to him.
When I got there, their eyes were just so, they were like relieved that there was someone there to get them and save them because it was that intense. I always take the buoy and get a little distance between myself and the victim because I don't want them to grab onto me and like start pulling me down. So I hand them the buoy and I tell him to calm down.
By the time I saw them, he was hooked up with the 2 of them. The 2 of us started kicking in the 2 separate victims. We were trying to use the water to push us in, but it is a dangerous spot. There's large rocks to your left, a strong current to your right, so you gotta time it just right so that not to end up on the rocks, but also not to get recycled into the rip current.
Rotkins and Guerrero attempt to swim the victims to shore, but the rip is too strong, and they make no forward progress.
I took the 16-year-old kid, and we both tried making it in, and there was a big set that came in. I told the kid, well, we're gonna try to make it in, listen to my verbal commands, which was, we're going under this wave, hold your breath, and 3, 2, 1, and I'd like duck dive him down like a surfboard and go under the wave and hold the buoy out here and him between me so I wouldn't lose him. After that set, I ended up making an executive decision to just go out to sea with him.
My victim continuously was letting go, so I would grab his wrist and hold his wrist onto the can. We both stayed together, holding onto the can and slowly making our way in.
Lifeguard Jacob Magnus is patrolling La Hoya on Jet 3 when he hears the call.
I was already on the jet ski for routine operations because we had large surf and we had large crowds. When I got on scene, I got up close enough to talk to him, and the guard said that the rip current was pulling too hard, and he asked if he could put his victim on the sled.
So you got Jet 3 with one guard making it to the beach.
Once we started getting pushed to the inside, I was just making sure that he didn't let go so that he wouldn't get recycled and I wouldn't get recycled. And it took us quite some time, slowly making our way in.
Unable to get close enough to Boomer Beach, Jet 3 heads around the point to La Jolla Cove.
We got on, hooked up, took us in to the sanctuary safe zone, and called it a day. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I tried to go out and get my buddy that he couldn't swim. He just kept getting dragged out by the tide. So I went out just trying to keep his head above water, and then the tide just drug us both out, and then the lifeguards had to come in and give us a hand.
All of a sudden, I just got sucked in by some strange current that more waves came by and it kept sucking me back in.
He was trying to swim back. I'm just telling him, no,
but wait, don't waste your energy.
Don't waste your energy. You're not going to make it back. I already saw a lifeguard running down the hill because he obviously saw us. They're very vigilant.
One word, lifeguard. If they weren't here, we'd all be doomed.
We would just be floating out in the open water right now.
If there was no lifeguard there, I guarantee those two would have drowned. It definitely felt good to go out there and get them, you know. It was a good experience altogether.
At Pacific Beach, reports of a drowned swimmer have lifeguards out in full force.
Dispatch from IC. It's a young male with dark hair, a white male. We're going to continue moving forward with Kodak's response here.
Firefighters and paramedics continue to respond, while dive crews mobilize to search the water.
If somebody's submerged, brain damage sets in 4 to 6 minutes, to be blunt. Time is of the essence. We want to be able to find this person as quickly as possible to give them the best chance for survival.
Missing persons are not unusual on the beach. People go missing on the boardwalk, on the beach, and in the park. But it's when they go missing in the water that becomes of great concern to us. So we do have a policy in place. What we're really concerned about are people that are in an area with known rip currents, maybe seen struggling, another person loses sight of them for less than 5 minutes, looks back, and the person's missing. Those are the criteria for us that will move the call into what we call a codex. Mask and snorkels, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, be mask and snorkel. John, you're gonna be line leader, get a line, okay?
Making matters worse, a fast rising swell is speeding up the current and clouding the water.
Once you guys get out past like the intermediate waves, there's pretty good visibility, and we actually just finned like on the surface because you can see the bottom. So if you do have snorkels, they are worth it.
As more guards arrive, Sergeant Rick Strobel begins to implement a search strategy designed to quickly cover as much area as possible.
Rich, here we go. Yeah, that's great. Get somebody, anybody. And if there's anything else you can tie to that, just so it doesn't move. I don't think it's gonna move.
In a codex, what we try to do, first of all, is to put somebody in the water and go to the spot where the person was last seen. The next thing we do is we want to mark that area so we know where that area is so we can search around that. We call that a datum point. And then we start putting in our line search teams.
Are we ready? We have 3 defined teams. Okay, get into your area.
When somebody goes missing inside the surf, it's a real challenge to try to find them. There's a lot of currents, there's breaking waves. So what we utilize is a line search where we bring in lifeguards, put on masks and snorkels, fins, and they actively hold a line and they keep a distance where they can see each other, and then they sweep through an area trying to find the missing person.
As the second wave of personnel arrives on scene, Sergeant Strobel briefs them on their mission.
Obviously, if you find a person, you're gonna raise your hand.
Lifeguards place 2 dive teams just beyond the breakers and deploy 3 line search teams directly into the surf. The PWCs supply transport for the guards working against the current. while rescue boats patrol outside the surf line. The helicopter above provides a bird's eye view.
We're just doing surface dives with a line. So 3 people on a line, 4 people on a line. On a line search, you want to make sure that you're covering as much ground as possible because you don't want to miss anything. Because today we are going with the current. We have a pretty strong north and south current today. So my job is basically to go down 4 feet. You have your snorkel and mask on, so I just go 1, 2, 3. We all dive down 4 feet, kick forwards for a count of 4, come back up, make sure everyone's good. 1, 2, 3, do it again. And then basically just do that for probably 150, 200 yards. Because theoretically, the body would have been floating with the current, and you just keep on doing the line searches for the golden hour. And after an hour, theoretically, it would turn into recovery mode.
After 6 minutes without oxygen, severe brain trauma occurs. A half hour into the call, tension on the beach begins to rise.
He's kind of widening the search area. That's what's making me edgy.
I wish they'd give us more information.
If he was tightening the search area, that would be better news.
Rick, do we have everybody accounted for? Line search, dive numbers?
Yeah, we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line search teams all went into the water. 4 dive team members went in on scuba.
Okay, excellent.
"40 different rescuers have joined the search, but under the waves, the rising swell is causing problems.
Visibility was pretty poor, especially in the head of the rip current, which is where the point last seen was. So based off of the visibility, we shortened up the line. So it got to the point where you're pretty much holding hands with the person next to you.
Got 3-foot surf. The visibility inside the surf line is not good. It's pretty turbid, and the current is moving from north to south quite a bit. So those are all factors that come into play that make finding a human body in the Pacific Ocean extremely challenging.
Once again, all swimmers and boogie boarders, come out of the water. Exit the water this time.
Lifeguards have been searching for nearly an hour. Even with all their resources, lifeguards are still unable to find the victim.
At this point, we don't have any missing person reports for anybody.
When you start these things, the tendency is to think that, well, it might not be, a codex, it might not be a submerged swimmer, but then you're thinking, what if it is? So we go at it 100 miles an hour. We put all our resources out there.
The search hits the hour mark. There are no sightings in the water and no missing reports on land. Confident that this is a false alarm, Lewis calls off the search.
We've conducted a search for 1 hour based on witness testimony, a lack of report of a missing person. We're going to call this search at this time.
The information started to tell us that it wasn't a true codex, it wasn't a witness drowning, and it was most likely a non-call.
I see dispatch, we're going to be clear at Pacific Beach and command terminated.
It's actually a gratifying feeling seeing an incident being managed so well by our staff. Completely appropriate response on our part of the sergeants. This is a perfect scenario where a person actually is not missing after all, and everyone's going to get to go home safely tonight.
"80 miles to the north, the swell has begun to build. At Newport Beach, lifeguards are on high alert.
This entire south-facing beach is really picking up just about every swell that we have. We have a lot of really large rip currents that occur. So with that and really warm temperatures inland, it just makes for the perfect storm for us to be very busy. So we anticipate some good rescues later on, and some exciting stuff to happen probably later when the crowd starts showing up. And we do have some red flag conditions. Right now at the point, it's still yellow flag. It's not quite big enough to be red flag. And that's all judgment by the guards themselves, whether they put up a yellow or red. The yellow flag, you need to use caution. Red flag, stop. Stop and ask somebody why is it a red flag and what are the conditions out there.
On the far west end of the beach, lifeguard Tyler Randall makes his rounds in one of Newport's truck units.
5311, Tower 71 rescue, 2 victims.
5311, copy from 65. So we have a rescue here at Tower 71. Sounds like 2 victims. Our tower guard's already out.
2 children, a brother and a sister, have been sucked out by a rip current. One has been rescued, but the other is struggling to stay afloat.
There was 2 victims, approximately 40 yards from each other. Our tower guard had, in fact, grabbed the sister in the inside, and I proceeded to go for the victim on the outside.
Newport's boat crew hears the call and immediately speeds toward the location. As the tower guard swims the girl to shore, Randall searches for her struggling brother.
I had a general idea of where the victim was. I saw his head prior to entering the water. Went under a wave, popped up, lost him for a little bit.
Lifeguards are trained to embrace teamwork. Randall and the rescue boat arrive at the victim simultaneously.
I was on the boat. I see this guy just bobbing down, and then he just sinks under a wave, and then he came up.
I think it was his foot or a hand or something just kind of popped out of the water about 15 feet from me, and I swam towards him, and I grabbed him from underwater, and he had no strength to grab my buoy, so I just wrapped him around the chest and signaled for the boat to come back me up. The deckhand, Clay Rinker, threw me the buoy, so I passed him off to the deckhand. He pulled him up, and then I climbed up afterwards.
Hurry up, let's go. Pull him up, he coughs up a bunch of water. He was going into shock, kind of fading in and out.
His respirations were extremely rapid. Wasn't in the greatest of conditions.
As lifeguards race Code 3 to the pier, the victim's symptoms worsen. Inhaling seawater draws fluid into the lungs and could be fatal.
Personnel around. Authority 110.
As the rescue boat arrives at the pier, the large swells make it difficult for lifeguards to back the boat in and transfer the patient to safety.
This is going to be real dicey, so once you commit, go. Don't hesitate at all.
That's a pretty sketchy situation, even in calm water, let alone with the swell we have.
We're going to put 2 guys on the boat, and we'll leave 2 guys here, and we'll just leapfrog them out.
It's just good communication between the crew on the deck, the crew on the boat, kind of coordinating when we're going to back in, and it's got to be quick and precise.
Okay, you 2 are going on. When he tells you, go. Now. Go. Go. Okay, stand by. Get him set up, and then he'll hand them to us.
Dude, spin him around, give him head first to us.
If the transfer isn't timed perfectly, the boy could slip between the dock and the boat and be crushed.
My main concern, the deckhand's main concern at that point, is just initiating the handoff properly and making sure that they have control over the patient as well as us.
Yeah, he's taking the head, I'm taking the side. Go. Yep. Got it. We got him. Let's go all the way up with him.
How you doing? Okay. You had any trouble breathing? Hold on, he's aspirating.
The boy is not out of danger yet. He is still coughing up water. Medics turn him on his side to help relieve him.
All right, spit it all out, all right? You didn't hit your head or anything, right? You were just in the water? Okay, so your neck or back don't hurt? Your lifeguard truck, I'm in the lifeguard truck, and we have the medics at the base.
At the base? Okay, you want to keep going then?
I got him.
All right, you got him.
Okay.
So you know who those guys were over there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're coming through here right now.
You're all right, bud. Let's get in the back. Let's do, you want feet in first, because then it'll be easier to turn if we have to.
Yeah.
The boy continues to vomit seawater. He's quickly loaded into the lifeguard truck and driven to a waiting ambulance.
All right, bud, we're doing really good, all right? Just worried about some of that water you swallowed, and that's why you're spitting up all that water and vomiting a little bit, okay? All right, we're going to take good care of you. We've got a paramedic man here. We're feeding it back, and we're going to bring you up to the hospital. You're drowning. Lifeguards picked him out of the water. He has been vomiting. He's been conscious.
That type of situation on a day like today, as strong as the currents are, stuff happens extremely quick.
We do have a lot of non-experienced swimmers that come in down there. Once they get out that far, they struggle because they try to swim in and they realize that the current's going against them the whole way. Those are the ones that you look at and you say, you know, if I wasn't there, he most likely would have drowned.
It was a job well done, and I knew that once the transfer of care was made to the medics, that he was in good hands.